As a yellow Beorning, if you trade 2 points into Desperate Shouts into yellow, it makes your Ferocious Roar make the next healing skill free of Wrath cost, as well as giving you Wrath over time. Will also reduce the next healing cost by 100%, so the next healing skill that you use will be free of use. So after using Ferocious Roar, I would recommend using Bellow or Maul because they both cost 20 Wrath each. And that will save you 20 Wrath that you can use elsewhere in your rotation. As a Brawler, in each blue and red line you have a skill called Joy of Battle. You have Joy of Battle Heal in the tanking line, and you have Joy of Battle Damage in the DPS line. If we take a look at the tanking line skill, it's really similar to the Guardian's Thrill of Danger, as in every hit hitting you will restore max morale. It has a cooldown of half a second, but it lasts for 15 seconds. So if you're constantly getting hit by ads, you will heal for 9% per second, but this is only really good if you're fighting a lot of ads and getting hit a lot. And also, for some reason, the red line Joy of Battle damage is just way better even as a tank, giving you minus 20% incoming damage for 15 seconds. The stacking damage buff is not important here. The minus 20% incoming damage is way stronger than the morale heal in blue. So as a blue Brawler, you're better off getting the Joy of Battle damage, because using one of the Joy of Battle skills will put both on cooldown. So if you're tanking on Brawler, Joy of Battle damage is much better. Burglar is the king of Fellowship maneuvers, also called CJs. And in order to maximize your CJ potential, you need to get Trip, bottom of red. You can see you can get that even in yellow line. And this tip is just to show how to maximize your CJs in a fight. You have your Exploit opening, that's your standard CJ opener. And you have Trip, which can be used while in stealth, so we'll have to use Hide in Plain Sight with it. And then you have the Marbles item that also starts a CJ, the consumable that you can craft as a weaponsmith. And finally we have Ready and Able that allows you to reset Exploit opening, Hide in Plain Sight, and Trip. So potentially you can have 5 CJs in a fight, and I'm gonna test this out. I'll start with Exploit opening, and I'll do Hips, Trip. 2 CJs. Third is going to be my Marble. 3 CJs. At this point you can use Ready and Able, resets, Exploit opening. I'm going to use Exploit opening again. And you also have your Hips and your Trip back. So potentially you can do 5 in a fight. But of course the Marbles cooldown is really long, 15 minutes, but of course your reset 5 minutes, and Hips is a long cooldown. So depending on the cooldowns you have, you can get 2 to 5 CJs in a fight. For the captain, this one's going to be a really simple tip, but easy to forget. Improved motivating speech gives all your allies plus 10% max morale, really strong fellowship or raid-wide buff, as well as the In Defense of Middle-earth extra stats. It has a 1-minute cooldown, and the duration is 5 minutes. So you want to make sure Motivated is active, get those extra stats, and the 10% morale. So at least every 5 minutes, make sure you use this. Don't forget, it's really important as a cappy. And you can also consider using it if someone dies and get rest, to give them the extra stats and the morale. The champion tip is going to be a simple one. Your champion's challenge, your taunt as a champion, reduces the target's damage by 30% for 5 seconds. So this can be used to reduce big hits, reduce the damage taken from big hits from bosses. Just make sure you taunt like 2 seconds before the big hit happens, not 5 seconds, because it might wear off. And make sure you communicate with your tank so he can taunt it back. As a Guardian, Redirect is one of your stronger cooldowns. It's a 30-second cooldown, negates 35% of damage, pretty strong. In order to use Redirect, you need to get a parry response and then use Retaliation or Whirling Retaliation. And of course you can get this normally by just parrying an attack. There's also another way to increase this chance with using Sting. To get this effect, you need to trait in the top left in blue line Relentless Assault, which gives a 25% chance for Sting to provide a block or a parry response. So what you will then do is just hitting the target over and over. You can see I got it on the first hit. Retaliation and Redirect. If you're not doing anything on Guardian, you're not like really occupied, keep spamming Sting to get that parry response. And you can also use War Chant to reduce the cooldown of Redirect. And spamming Sting should help you proc this skill more often. Playing as a hunter, you have a ranged interrupt immediate skill called Blindside. And playing as a hunter, you should use Blindside to cancel the animations. Best choices will probably be Split Shot, Rain of Arrows, or Swift Bow. But in general, I would say Split Shot and Rain of Arrows are the skills you should cancel. Such as this, with the Rain of Arrows, you use it and you cancel it, and you can keep DPSing. As a Lore Master, you have a skill called Wind Lore. Now this skill can be used on a target, and using this skill will spread the lores, multiple targets around that target. But for this tip, we're going to focus on the plus 3% incoming damage. As you can see, I use Wind Lore, and it's tier 1. And if you use Wind Lore again, it's going to go to tier 2, which is 4%. And using Wind Lore one more time, we'll take it to 5%, tier 3, which is the max tier. So don't forget to use Wind Lore at least every 20 seconds or so to refresh this strong buff on your target. Playing as a Blue Minstrel, you have a skill called Soliloquy of Spirit. Not only is it a long heal over time, every 3 seconds for 45 seconds, it also puts 1% of each mitigation on the target. So this skill is really important, especially to use on your tank, to keep 3 stacks. As you can see, there's a hot and there's the mitigation bonus, but it's tier 1. You use it again, refresh it up to tier 2, 2% of each mit, and you also get a second hot, and 3 times will give you tier 3, which is the max, 3% of each mit. The person is wondering why I'm healing them. Hello. But really strong for a Minstrel. Keep this especially in your tanks. If you can, more targets. 3% each mit on your tank is really strong. A simple tip for a Rune-Keeper, you have a skill called Do Not Fall This Day. If you have the Tracery, the cooldown is 2 minutes, 20 seconds. If you use this every time it's off cooldown, you should be able to keep a DNF on 2 targets at the same time, preferably on someone you think might die. I think this Lore Master is going to die in Landscape, so put a DNF. 5-minute duration, and if they die, they will get rest to my location. When the skill comes off cooldown, you just put it on the second target, and you just keep rotating the skill. Another pretty simple tip for Warden, you have a skill called Never Surrender. If you fall below 15% morale, you will recover 50% and 50% morale and power. 10-minute cooldown. Using this skill puts a Never Surrender buff on you. If you ever in a fight fall below 15% morale, it might save your life by healing you up 50%. So whenever you have Never Surrender off cooldown, make sure to check if you have the buff active. If you have the skill available and the buff falls off, make sure to repop Never Surrender in combat. Also, if you want to, you can have a blue line that you can switch to and then trait Never Surrender at the bottom left. This will make Never Surrender 5-minute cooldown. You can pop this in blue, switch back, have Never Surrender, and Never Surrender skill will be back sooner. If you like Lord of the Rings Online, there's one place you need to be. In every video that I post, you can go down to the description and join my Discord server. This will take you to the Ghynverse, a Discord server specifically made for Lord of the Rings Online. Here you will have monthly giveaways where people can enter and win LOTRO point codes. You'll also see whenever I post a new video, as well as stream. There are discussion channels for every class, for PvP, whatever you want from LOTRO. And there's also a best in slot section where you can find screenshots of everything you need in the game, every new gear that comes out, everything you need. Pretty much all the best items you can find here. And all the way at the bottom is my video archive. You can find all my old videos. But if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings Online, if you're a new player, if you're an experienced player, this is a good place to discuss and learn about the game.